Hey everybody, welcome to AGRI-TALK.
Hi Mike, how are you?
Not 100%.
Not at 100% with that arm, I hear.
Yeah.
You've got a little messed up there. We're pulling some, I pulled muscle where I take it?
Yeah, lifting heavy things that I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, I heard you were trying to be a bumper jack. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
Understand.
didn't work out for me at one.
Yeah.
So, I had surgery like 3.5 weeks ago.
But hopefully, hey, you're here and you're on the mend, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Things are just
We're going
looking
in
up.
the right
so hopefully-
direction.
Right. So it's been a little while. So you were off the last show, and but we still had some good information going. And now I think we got some marketing things we're going to talk about. I think probably. I think when you talk marketing, you're going to talk to a wide variety of clients. Even though we're an ag show, but it literally it can fall in anybody, any
Right.
kind of a business in a nutshell, right?
And business is all about relationships. And building relationships, and one of those ways that we build relationships, you know, one is keeping our clients.
Yep.
And you have to keep your relationship good, you know, like whenever I go into like a motorcycle shop, it's nice to be known.
Right.
It's like, hey, how's that Triumph Rocket doing?
Right.
You know, and so they know you, and so they build a rapport, and you have loyalty. But before that, to get you in the door, there is marketing and advertising.
Right.
So you're just starting your relationship.
Right. And sometimes it could be a bumpy road at the very beginning. You know, we talked earlier a little bit that it's not it's called a campaign for a reason. It's not going to be magic right out of the gate. So.
Right. You're not going to put out one advertisement and everything comes rolling in.
Right. It could take anywhere from days to weeks to a month or more, depending on what your campaign is built on.
Right. Could be just name recognition.
Yeah.
That's why they pound away on names sometimes. And there's some things I see on TV, maybe local ads that are annoying.
Well,
but you know what? You remember it.
You remember it. you see it over and over. So yeah. It sinks into your head.
Who they are, but you know, I'm sure everybody knows.
Everybody has different ones. I'm
right.
Sure. So, what do you want to introduce our guest, or do you want me to?
You can.
I can do that. So, welcome, Josh Wellington. Sales. Help me with sales manager for 93.1. And numbers, I'm looking at numbers out here, seeing
it's
different
the Wolf,
times.
It's a radio station.
Yeah, locally. So tell us where it's at, and then tell us a little bit about yourself, Josh, and how you got into this business.
We are located on 141, just right inside the Gallipolis city limits. We're the only locally owned and operated, locally programmed radio station in the market. We have two stations. We have our FM station, which is the Wolf, New Country and only New Country. And then we have an AM station, Joy 990, that is Southern Gospel. That has been on the air for 67, 68 years.
Wow. That speaks to a little bit of advertising there, too.
It does. It does. And that name, the WJH name for the AM, carries a lot of memories with it.
Yeah.
Having been founded by John Halliday, and it's grown. You know, it's been in several different formats and things like that. But as of right now, we're Southern Gospel, and we're seeing growth in that as well.
That's good.
But I've been with the stations for about 3.5 years, and before that, did radio buys for companies and things like that. And I've worked on both sides. But now my job is to basically do everything that I can to help local businesses to increase their market share as much as possible.
Right. Well, that sounds really good. So, what does a sales marketing? You haven't been in that position long with the Wolf, or what was your?
I came on as a sales manager, so about 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay, good. So, the sales industry, I guess, if you would, I'm sure it's kind of cutthroat in a way. You're the bad guy because you're trying to get either some money from that business,
right?
But you're also the good guy because, hey, I'm trying to build you up. But it's that whole analogy. It takes money to make money.
It does. So and my job is to make sure that people understand that advertising is not necessarily another bill. It's an investment.
It's an investment. I like that.
So my goal is to give you the highest return on investment possible, and you can't do that with every business the same way. So my challenge is looking at each individual business, talking to each individual business owner. You know, I can't just walk in with a one sheet and say, this is what we have, this is what you get. Doesn't really matter what you need, because it does. And you have to figure out how many people do I need to get you in your door to increase sales to the amount that you need, that you feel like will make you even more successful.
Right.
And you can't get, as we talked earlier, it takes a little bit different approach to get enough people coming in buying $3 hamburgers as it does to if you're trying to sell a car and you're making a little bit more money, or a lot more money in each individual transaction. So,
right.
And then you can also work with training them on how to better take advantage of the foot traffic, because I can get them to you.
Right.
But then what you do with them once they get there,
they still may not buy anything.
we have to make sure that you are aware of your overall product. And I can't sell your business any better than you can, because you know your product, you know what you're doing. But we have to make sure that you can communicate that to the customer. You can have the best product at the best price, but if your communication's off, they may not know that.
Right.
So you have to, you really have to get.
Sure.
You can help in a lot of different areas, and you can help with their budget. You know, you have this much money in your marketing budget. I don't necessarily have to be the only place that it is. Do I want to be the only place that it is? Absolutely.
Sure.
But certain businesses are going to need an overall approach. So maybe they need billboard, or maybe they need print, or social, or whatever the case may be. So you try to keep those lines of communication open with those kind of people as well, to where you can say, hey, I have a client who may need to do a digital billboard, or may need some social media presence. I'm going to send them to you, and I trust that they're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure between those that your message stays on the
It's
same
all about
track.
branding. Absolutely all about branding. You can't be all over the map.
Yeah.
You have to focus on whatever your product is that you're focusing on. We're going to put as much focus on that as possible.
Right, just
So
like
stay steady.
pizza place that says fresh ingredients, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's their message.
Yep.
They stick to it, and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. So what is your approach to if somebody comes to you, or do you just go out on a regular basis? I'm sure they're
It
both
can work
happen.
both ways. It can work both ways. A lot of times with bigger companies, it may be an agency that is out of the area that will call you and say, hey, I have availability for company X. This is their budget. Can you send me a rate sheet?
Yep.
And then you send them the sheet. They plan out the buy. It's all done.
It's all done.
It's all done.
Yeah.
They send you the commercials. Everything is taken care of.
Sounds pretty easy. You like
most
those?
of the time, I do.
Yeah.
I do. And then there's others who maybe you're a new business, or you have been in business for a while, but you are just maintaining and you need some help. So you may call and say, what can you do for me? And a lot of people think that radio is a little bit more expensive maybe than what it actually is. So they're scared to take that next step.
Yeah.
You know, it's always been, well, the newspaper or television or whatever, you know, you've always known, but radio is kind of a mystery.
It's always,
So it takes some courage for those people to step out. And then every day we're out in the community, you know, looking at new businesses, existing businesses, going in, and you may stop in a dozen times over the course of a year to the same business, and you sit down and have a conversation, and it's, no, we don't need to do any.
Right.
With that
Nothing
13th
extra.
time, you may stop in, and you know what, we're having a huge sale, and it may be a week of advertising, and we're just going to blast this sale, or it may be some new competitors moved into the market, and now I have to do something.
You step up your game
I
a
have
little
to.
bit.
I have to set myself apart from this, or I hear this new place is coming.
Good. That's a good point. Yeah.
What can I do to establish myself
Yeah.
more leading up to their opening? Because you know, if you're a local store and you have a chain, a big box that's going to sell the same thing that you do, coming into your area, it's going to take them a month or two to get set up. You
Better
can
be
ramp
ready.
up your approach previous to their, you know, up to their opening, and that way,
Good.
maybe you can ease the impact a little bit. And our goal is not to necessarily take you straight up.
Right.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But the overall approach of a campaign, say a year long, is you make the highs higher, but more importantly almost is you make the lows not as low. So there's always going to be ebbs and flows, but if you can raise the high a little bit but decrease how far you fall off in your slow months, because no matter what kind of business, you always have a slow month.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's interesting. So let me ask this: how does when you're doing marketing like that, a business may come to you and just go, "Well, I want one spot, and that's it." How does that? Obviously, it can't be one spot.
Right. And a lot of people don't know
you
that.
have to go like, well, it's going to be like a month, and it's going to be six spots or something
Right.
for that month or thing. So what is that? How do you work that?
First of all, you have to, and that happens a lot,
Yeah.
but people may not understand the emphasis on top of mind awareness or repetition, and how many times people actually have to hear something before they actually retain it. So if you can sit down and let them know, well, this is what we can do that will work. Now you have to look at budget, things like that, and there have been times where we've said, I don't think you're ready for this step. I would allocate the money that you were going to spend here somewhere else in this avenue, whether it be boosting social media or whatever the case may be. But spend your money there, and then we'll talk. If this works and starts to increase you a little bit, and then you have a little bit more money to spend. Because I don't want to just take your money and it not work. Because honestly, business owners talk to each other. And if you come to me and I tell you that something is going to happen, but you're not spending enough money to make it happen, and I'm just taking your money to take your money, somebody's going to hear it.
Somebody's going to hear it.
And they're going to
get
say, how did it work?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't.
It didn't.
It didn't do anything. Not one person came in and no increase in anything.
Right.
I knew that wasn't going to happen to start with.
Right.
So you're better off to direct your allocate your money elsewhere, and then let's talk again in 6 months.
Yeah.
See how things are going.
Well, that's a good point.
And sometimes, if it's the right business, we may say, there's always an option. Let's say maybe you have something that our customers or our listeners may be interested in as a product or service. Let's do a giveaway. We'll say once a week. If you're a new restaurant, we'll give away a $20 gift card every month or every week or however much. And we'll give you advertising for that. So that way all you have is the cost of your material, not on top of that. But we'll give you the retail amount for that.
Gotcha.
And we can work some things out like that. We also do things around Christmas. We have an on-air auction to where you give me product, I give you dollar for dollar.
Right.
And then we put it on the air at half price or start bidding at half price. People call in and they can buy it.
Yeah.
And then they have a little less in their Christmas presents and things like that. But the retail side can come up with a bigger marketing campaign.
I like that you give them options to do things, because there's a lot of people that in the sales area that just go, it's this price, and that's it. I think that's, and in our area the way it is now, sometimes you got to do that horse trading.
You do.
I think that's a good thing. So.
Now you recently changed, or I don't know how recent, changed your format.
We did. It's been about 2.5 years.
Okay.
2 years in June maybe.
How does that affect who you sell advertising to?
I don't know that it changes who. We changed because of the format is more successful in every market.
What was the previous one?
The previous was 80s, 90s, and now.
Okay.
And people loved it. And there's a lot of country stations in the area, but no one was playing new country only. And we had a consultant come in. They said, this is what you need to do. And it was so hush-hush that it was a Tuesday. I'll never forget. I was in Wellston, Ohio, and I met with a client, and I said, you need to buy from me because we don't play country. We're different. And he bought. And as I was walking out of his office, my phone rang, so we have a meeting tonight at 8 o'clock.
Oh, my.
So I show up at the meeting, and they said, tomorrow when you wake up, we'll be country.
Wow. Uh-oh.
And I said, well, I have to make a phone call.
I just sold something.
And, we lost 0 advertisers and gained 12 in 2 weeks. And people's immediate reaction was, it's about time.
Good. It's about time.
It's about time. They had been buying maybe stations that they weren't 100% happy with.
Yeah.
But they were buying the format and not the station. And now they can buy the format and the station.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the age range changed.
It expanded.
Okay.
It really expanded because 80s, 90s, and now nobody in their teens is listening to 80s music.
Right.
It's not. It was a 25 to 54 female.
Okay.
And now it is an 18 to 55 everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 4-year-old at home that is singing Sam Hunt and Luke Combs going down the road just as much as she's singing her church songs, you know, on the way home from church or whatever. So,
Right.
and the access to the artist is different. A lot more country artists tour, and they put out albums more frequently.
Right.
So we have the ability to send people to concerts, have them meet the people that they hear on the radio, as opposed to, you know, when we were 80s, 90s, and now we sent people to see the Rolling Stones. I went. It was in Ohio Stadium where the Buckeyes play. They were in the south end zone. We were in the C deck of the north end zone.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be Mick Jagger. If it wouldn't have been for a video screen, I couldn't have told you who it was.
Right.
But now we're able to send people to more intimate shows. They're able to go to club shows or fair shows or festival shows.
Right.
And we've gotten to be able to be involved with a lot of different organizations, whether it be schools or festivals, whatever. So we're able to send people to a lot of fun places.
That's my problem though with new music. There's no good rock and roll anymore. You know, tell me who's making music as good as like the Eagles or Chicago or, you know, these deep.
Hard to find.
That is hard to find. But
they just don't do it.
We need to take a quick break, and maybe we can talk some more stuff about that. So
Okay.
We'll be right back with Josh about marketing and on the radio stuff. Welcome back to AGRI-TALK. I'm Duane, Mike. We have Josh here from the Wolf radio station locally here. And we've been talking about marketing, obviously for radio purposes, but in a nutshell, marketing in your business on how you should approach it, how much you should spend or trade or things like that. So what's our next step for marketing as far as if I need marketing?
Okay.
How do I start? Do I just call up a radio station, or do I call and you make me an appointment? What's the steps? If I'm again, we're an ag show. I'm selling
Is there a company
strawberries.
that might do
Yeah.
print, online, radio, television? Is there a place to call for all those, or
Yeah.
do
You
you
probably
hook me up
could.
with those?
It can work a variety of different ways. You can call us and we can go over your options. There are companies out there who specialize in different things and can send you in the right directions. But like we talked about previously, if it's not something that'll work with us, we can send you, and we have the connections to be able to send you to people that may help you. And again, it's the product. It's what are you selling.
Do the people that listen to your format buy the product I'm selling?
Exactly. And with our demographic as it is now, I think we range wide enough that we can just about advertise anything. But when it comes to, say, ag, the window that you are selling in is narrow. Because even like your roadside stands are not going to be probably candidates who would benefit from radio advertising.
Okay.
But it's someone who maybe has 6 stands.
Yeah. Or if you have a group that's gone together as a farmer's market.
Right. A farmer's
and they
market
all pitch in for something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
And so you can look at but your time frame for ag would maybe be a little smaller because you only have that harvest season. And some you would have the produce season and then say the pumpkin season, the fall season.
Right, so they have a couple of crops.
Yeah, so you have a couple.
So it comes on with strawberries, and then it goes to maybe a sweet corn, and then pumpkins in the fall. So you have a season. So if you did have a roadside stand, maybe
it would be something to it.
It would be a whole summer fall thing, basically.
Yeah, and we do have customers who maybe are only on during the fall and winter.
Yeah.
Maybe summer when school's out is not their prime season. And if you're, say, a golf course, maybe you're not going to advertise in the middle of the winter.
Well, that's true.
Not a lot of people playing in December, January. But then you ramp it back up again late February into all the way through maybe October.
Okay.
So it's all business based. It's specific. You can't put every peg into the same hole.
Right.
It's got to. You have to do your homework and not everything's going to work.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
you do your best, and
Yeah.
you have to be able to pivot. You know, if something doesn't work, you don't want to let it go for months and months and hope that it turns around.
Yeah.
You have to be proactive, make sure that you know which direction maybe you need to make some tweaks and go from there.
So do you follow up with the vendor, I guess?
I try to see my clients at least twice a month,
Okay.
and some even more than that, depending on. You have some clients who say, "I'm going to run this for 2 months," and others may run every.
Specials
They may
a week.
change it every week,
Yeah.
and we ask for 24 hours. If you can give me 24 hours, I can get you a commercial switched.
Okay.
A lot of times it's quicker than that. If you email it to me, I can send it straight to production, especially if it's already done. And it's something that's already been pre-recorded. I can
Yeah.
ship it over, and we can be good to go.
Does anybody produce their own stuff?
A lot of the bigger places.
Okay.
A lot of the
Do
bigger
they?
places who are maybe agency buys, things like that, who maybe have 150 nationwide stores.
Oh, okay.
They'll send you their
It's kind of a
pre-produced.
canned thing
Yeah.
already ready
Yep.
to go?
And maybe sometimes you'll have to tag the end with the local vendor. So maybe it's a national ad, but at the end for 5 seconds it says buy this at
The local place right here, yeah.
Here's the phone number.
Yeah.
But then a lot of times it's this is what I want to talk about, and it may be hieroglyphics sketched on a yellow pad. You know, they send you a
True.
screenshot and
Yeah.
said, I want this stuff in it. And
So,
you
do
sit
you
down-
develop that
We do.
yourself
Yeah.
then?
Yep.
Okay.
And we have different rules and things that we go
Yeah.
by that we've learned over the years that don't start a commercial with a question. If the answer is no, they quit listening.
Really?
Don't put music behind the commercial that, even if you have the copyright release for it, don't use something that somebody knows because it invokes a memory, and they listen to the song and not to the information.
Yeah.
So there's certain things you want to do. You don't want to
Interesting.
put too much into a spot, but you don't want to drag it out as much either. And
Yeah.
you can put a lot of stuff in 30 seconds.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I
and
would think so.
you know, I used to be in TV and radio, and you put a 30-second spot up against a 15, you run it, and you ask the person, how long was that? It's like, I don't know, they're about the same, right? Like, no, one was 15.
Yeah.
But if you if you break up the 15 into two, or break up the 30 into two 15s, start the break with a 15, end the break with a 15, you get 2 hits for the same price. So that works.
And a lot of
then-
times,
I was going to also say the time of day affects the price too, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah.
It does. There's prime times, your drive time, traffic, and things like that. And it's about the opposite of radio or of television. Because television, you want that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, people coming home from work, sitting down for dinner spot. We
Till
want
about 10,
the
11.
taking people to school,
Yeah.
lunch break. And then, sometimes people will pay extra to have it play at 7:20 and
Right at that
12:20
time.
Right.
and 3:20.
'Cause everybody
As
knows the
opposed-
school schedules.
Exactly. As opposed to when does, it plays when it can.
Yeah.
And then some companies, maybe you have 2 different businesses owned by the same person, or 2 people who go together. Maybe you have a gym and a personal trainer. And the personal trainer works in the gym, but has their own kind of business model. A 60-second is cheaper than 2 30-seconds. So you go together, pool your money, buy a 60-second, and each person take 30,
Yeah.
run them back to back as 30-second commercials, but you're only paying for the 60-second price.
Okay.
So a lot of things that you can do
You
to
yeah.
make sure that the right people are hearing it at the right time. And we're kind of an anomaly because some of our biggest employers in the area aren't 9 to 5. You have the
Right.
hospital, the power plants, people working shift work. So you are reaching some people at 11 o'clock,
Yeah.
overnights, things like that may be other mediums you're not
other
you're not
places.
reaching. Yeah.
Now, I've worked producing for both television and radio, and both of them are interesting in their own way. With the television, you've got the visuals, and to me, it's a little harder to make visuals for television. But when you work in radio, you're kind of freed because you can paint pictures with sounds,
Yeah.
and the sounds don't cost as much as trying to make the pictures.
Right.
So the creativity, you can expand that in radio and paint a larger picture than a big budget television ad for, a lot less money.
Absolutely. And radio's fun.
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah.
the creativity side of it is almost as much fun as anything, because you have the responsibility of the business that you're trying to promote, but you can. There's so many different ways. Some people need a who, what, when, where spot.
Yeah.
And other people need something that's going to reach out and grab you and bring you in. And maybe it's dry humor. Maybe it's in your face. Whatever the case may be, it's fun to kind of mess around with that and see which direction you need to go or how you can go in a certain direction.
Yeah.
Or does this need to be
Is
more
a car salesman versus a funeral home?
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly
You're
it.
not hard selling a funeral home.
That's exactly it. So it's you never know what's going to happen day to day. You have a plan.
Yeah.
And when you hit the office at 9 o'clock, you have a plan. And by 9:30,
it's changed.
There's something else.
It's out the window again. Yeah.
So,
that's just like technology. So it's out the door again. Hey, we have run out of time. So, Mike, it's been a great discussion. I would love to have you back and talk some more about this, because I think that's a big deal to advertising for people. So,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks for watching AGRI-TALK, guys, and we'll see you next month.